Kevin, as we said, a complicated day at the frontier, but not for the reasons we'd anticipated.
Yes, an anticlimax. The measures we're expecting to be effected today, we understand they were never effected. We've been talking to a number of people on both sides of the frontier throughout the day, and our understanding is it's a public holiday in Spain, el Día de la Fiesta Nacional, formerly el Día de la Hispanidad, and they were expecting a higher number than usual number of tourists transiting that frontier today, and they had staffing issues. So the unofficial decision, we understand, was taken to not affect those measures today. We also spoke to a number of unescorted children who crossed the frontier early this morning, and they say they crossed the frontier as they do every day. They were unchallenged and no questions were asked. So it does seem those delays at the frontier today, both incoming and later on outgoing, were largely down to the volume of tourists triggered by the Spanish public holiday.
See, we've all seen images from the border on both sides, actually, and it was somewhat worrying to see that number of people. But you've been there, and you said the queues were generally moving quite fast. You mentioned that a number of buses arrived at the same time, which might have compounded the issue.
That's right. I mean, it makes sense if you think about it. Early in the morning, all the buses arrive at the frontier, common practice. Today, a larger number of buses, a higher number of buses arrived at the frontier, Spanish public holiday, and the other factor was they normally debus away from the queuing area. That's what we're told by sources on both sides of the frontier. They debus away from the frontier and queuing area. Today, the commercial gate was closed. So they were debusing in the usual traffic lane, the one where we queue up with our cars, rather than away from it. And also the buses were transiting the frontier at the normal point where cars cross the frontier instead of the commercial gate. The commercial gate, of course, being closed today because of that Spanish public holiday. So everybody arriving at the frontier, same time, a bit of chaos because people were debusing in the traffic, in the actual queue itself, causing delays and a bit of chaos. And that's what we saw this morning play out.
And you can imagine that then the delays in the evening on the way out of Gibraltar were just the reverse happening. It was the coaches and the people returning to Spain.
You'd think the same thing happened. Again, sounds like, I mean, everybody arrived at the same time. Everybody wanted to spend the entire day in Gibraltar, arrived early. Different people leave Gibraltar at different times throughout the day. Some come for a quick shop, others come for the whole day experience, Upper Rock and the sights. So people, we've been observing the frontier throughout the entire afternoon. People have been leaving in a staggered fashion. There was no queue up until 6 o'clock, and that's when we observed three buses arriving at the same time. Again, people debusing, people stepping down, and that image of those lengthy queues that stretched all the way down to Eroski with a fourth bus arriving at the time. But we actually spoke to people to verify the length of time, how long they were in the queue. And I think we've got a little vox pop with it down on site. ¿Qué tiempo lleva en cola?
15 minutos.
15 minutitos. How long have you guys been in the queue?
20 minutes, I think.
15?
Yeah, 20, 15 minutes.
15, 20 minutes, yeah? Thank you. How long have you guys been in the queue? ¿Qué tiempo lleva en cola?
20 minutes.
20 minutes. Thank you.
How long?
The queue seems really long. How long have you been in the queue?
Too long, too long.
How long is too long?
20 minutes, but it's too long with kids.
20 minutes. Are you a visitor and one of the coaches?
Yeah. Well, it's okay. We're going to figure it out. We'll wait it out.
Thank you. Hi, hola. How long have you been in the queue? ¿Qué tiempo lleva en cola?
Minutes. 30 minutes.
Media hora.
Thank you.
And Kevin, very quickly, we return to the initial issue which we'd anticipated. Is that going to be coming into effect?
The measures weren't affected today. Spain does reserve the right to effect them whenever they want. As from today, we understand they weren't applied because of staffing issues and the public holiday. They can start applying them tomorrow. Our advice to parents, children will not be allowed to go through that frontier unescorted, and they can check the different criteria regarding accompanying adults on our website, gbc.gi.